Yes, so welcome to Neurodiverse Spirituality. And in this session, we'll be talking about neurodiverse spirituality and the self. So I said, I just want to present some ideas for you to, and then we'll go into breakout rooms to discuss them. But to start with, I just want to say our neurodiversities can lead to some challenges in understanding ourselves. What I mean by that is, for my own experience with getting a very late diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, which is a condition on the autistic spectrum, is that I realized that I had very little insight into my own emotions and my own feelings. And I'd always struggled with wondering, how do you answer the question, how do you feel? And I would find that, or how are you? I would struggle with that. And also, and that may be a case for a lot of neurodiverse people, but also we can get misunderstood and actually think we are like those misunderstandings. So we may feel that people often think we're crazy, and we begin to believe we're a little bit crazy, or that we're lazy, and that we begin to think we're a little bit lazy. And that's not when, particularly if you get a late diagnosis, and when you do get a diagnosis, suddenly it becomes clearer. I wasn't like that. It was because I was neurodiverse, because I had this particular diagnosis. Suddenly you get insight into that. And also people with an earlier diagnosis can get the unhelpful stereotypes of those and think, oh, I won't achieve anything because I have this particular neurodiversity, and may have views of themselves that are wrong, that are not understanding their brilliant gifts and abilities, but are focusing on their big challenges that they have in life. And so we can have lots of challenges in understanding ourselves. And so this topic of self is quite important, or very important to neurodiversity. And so thinking about it in terms of spirituality, a lot of spirituality, particularly religious spirituality, but it can happen in other places, often focuses on ideas of self-denial and self-sacrifice. When we talk about love, for example, and that's a big theme in spirituality, we can think we've got to put other people before ourselves. And so we begin to diminish ourselves. We begin to diminish the attention that we put on ourselves. And we can find that we do things for the people before we take care of ourselves. And before we're even aware of ourselves, we try to understand what's happening in the world, and we have a great compassion for things that are happening with other people or with society, but we can miss what's happening inside of us and not take care of ourselves. And I think this is a very important aspect, and a lot of spiritual teachers do focus on both, on the idea of self-sacrifice and self-denial, but also on the idea of the importance of having insight into ourselves. And as I said, religious spirituality has tended to focus on that self-denial and self-sacrifice. However, what we've been looking at, and what's come up a few times in neurodiverse spirituality, is the contemplative spirituality. And contemplative spirituality focuses more on exploring our soul and finding ourself. The idea of self and soul, a lot of it comes from words like psyche, for example. All are very interchangeable. And so we're in psyche, we get ideas of psychic. We also get ideas of the mind. We get the ideas, it can also mean life or soul or self. And so all of those things are who we are, our being. And, for example, Jesus said, what would it gain someone if they, what would it profit someone if they gained the whole world but lost themselves? Or sometimes it says some translations lost their soul. and other spiritual teachers also focus on this importance of understanding our soul and finding our soul, or finding ourself. And this can lead to a greater, finding ourselves can lead to what we sometimes refer to as a self-realization, an understanding of ourselves, and being able to be fulfilled in knowing, well, this is who I am, this is what I'm here for, this is why I've been put on the planet, and now I can actually do that. And we can build not just self-realization, but self-awareness, understand our strengths, our weaknesses, understand how we come over to other people, understand our emotions and what we're feeling. And also all of that can lead to a greater fulfillment in life, a self-fulfillment. So that's really what we're talking about with self. So focus again on contemplative. I just want to focus a little bit more on contemplative spirituality and say a little bit about this journey, because contemplative spirituality says that the mystery of the self is hidden under layers of fragmented identity. And that's really why we say, I need to find myself. I don't really understand myself. And that's true with a lot of neurodiverse people, and that's true generally on the spiritual journey, that we can feel that that ourself is some mystery, and there's lots of these fragmented aspects of our identity. So examples of these, probably on the surface, we have things like our responsibilities, our work, our roles that we play in life, in our relationships. So we might feel that we're somebody's partner, we're somebody's parent, we're somebody's child. But also our plans. We might say, oh, I hope to do this in life, I have this goal, and it not really be an authentic, real calling or something really deep, but just what I want to do for a job, or what I want to do for in the next year of my life, and so on. And we may have interests, and some of those may come and they may go, and some may last a long time. Some may be very specific, special interests. We talk on the autistic spectrum, for example, about special interests, so where we can be really focused on something. But all of these are just part of our identity. They're not the whole, and they can be quite fragmented. And part of contemplation and spirituality is to delve a little bit deeper. And we find, as we do this through mindfulness practice, through other contemplative spiritual practices that we have talked about, and we can discuss further, that we will discuss further, in that we come to realize what's underneath. They become sort of aware as we practice these regularly. Underneath, we might find our memories, but also in that memory, we find trauma. We find good memories and good, happy memories. We also find difficult memories of, and again, as particularly sensitive people, we may find those difficult memories of hurt us, and we carry something in our bodies so that we, might almost feel we're looking over our shoulder because we've been criticized in the past. Will so-and-so criticize me if I do this? And so we have these traumas in us. But they're still not the center, and the contemplative journey can be seen as like a journey to the center. And I put this illustration, if you can see, of Russian dolls, where you have a doll you open the doll, and inside there's another one, and inside there's another one. So on the surface we have these very these responsibilities and relationships. Inside we have our memories, and then deeper than that, we have our self-will. Sometimes, you might think of ego. that feeling, this is what I want to do my way, and is the best way. And but that again is not the center. We sometimes can think it is, but there's something deeper. Finally, at the center, we find our true self, which I believe is compassionate, is caring, is loving, is not egotistical, is not destructive. But it's a journey to understand that, to delve into that self. So I don't know how any of that lands with you, but we're going to go into rooms and discuss some of these issues. And I've just got this question, which we're going to copy. When you go into breakout rooms, you're going to copy it into the chat, and you can go around and see what thoughts you have on this. And it's really is, what thoughts do you have about neurodiversity and insight into oneself? Do you identify with what we're saying about that difficulty, that challenge, and how the journey of self-understanding, becoming more self-aware, becoming more and ultimately becoming more self-fulfilled, we hope, that journey of self-understanding might relate to your spiritual journey. You feel that relates to what you've done spiritually, to your own experiences of prayer, of worship, of contemplation, of mindfulness, and so on. Or maybe you're just beginning that journey. But that's the question we're going to get people to think about, and think about that idea of insight into yourself. So just before I do that, just want to say, if you haven't had these slides, I will send them out, but there's also again, but just want to say, for reference, there's more information. I put someone looking at a computer, because though they're books, you can read them. Not everybody's likes reading. Some people prefer to, and you can find videos of these people or reviews of these people talking on social media, YouTube, and so on. But there's some books there. Immortal Diamond, Richard Rohr is a good name to search. The Gift of Being Yourself, and Contemplative Therapy for Clients on the Autistic Spectrum is a well-formed book that I use, by Rachel Lee Harris. And she's got a website as well. Okay, I'll stop the recording there.